without further ado, to not waste any more time, Suzette Young is a mother of two. She's going to be sharing her comparative experiences of her feeding journey and what made a difference to her. We're so grateful to have you here, Suzette. So take it away.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hi everyone. I just want to first say that session that we had just now was truly amazing. It almost had me in tears and it was wonderful. So thank you very much for that. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be able to share my experience with you all and everybody. And I hope that maybe you get something from what I've got to say of my own personal journey. So I'll start off with talking about whilst I was pregnant with my first son, which was 12 years ago. And before I whilst I was getting ready to obviously go into labor, you've got so many things on your mind, making sure you're prepared with everything. And a lot of my friends, most people that I speak to, their biggest fear is giving birth, going into labor and the pain. But my biggest fear was actually breastfeeding afterwards. Like I was so scared of my nipples being sore, having chapped nipples, not being able to feed properly, that fear actually quite consumed me more than the fear of actually going into labor and giving birth. And so I don't know why I was so scared. I just thought maybe I wouldn't, I don't know. I just didn't want to feel any pain down there. But whilst I was in the hospital, I got a little help from one of the nurses. She showed me what to do. I wasn't sure. It took me a little while before I was able to learn how to make baby latch on properly. And that was something that if I had a bit more advice on earlier, I would have been able to get much quicker, I feel, because once I was able to get baby to latch on properly, breastfeeding was quite easy for the milk to come through, and then the milk was flowing. And then there was days when I was waking up and there was milk everywhere. There was milk on me, on my partner, on the bed, everywhere. And I'm sure there's so many mums out there that's been through that. And then and it was so amazing for me, and I'm so happy that I was able to breastfeed. I think one of the best feelings for me with breastfeeding is when baby's hungry and you get that tingly feeling in your breast, and you know that it's time for baby to feed, because it's almost like a pull. Even though there's nothing there, it's like baby's pulling for you, and you can feel that feeling. I felt so overwhelmed by that because I felt like that feeling was so amazing, and it showed me that I'm still connected with my baby. It helped me with my bond with my baby, because like we're still part of each other even though the umbilical cord has been cut. And that was like my greatest feeling about breastfeeding, and that's what I love about breastfeeding, and it helps me to know about that bond that you have with baby. And I suppose the other way that you do know also is when all of a sudden you've got two wet patches on your t-shirt. It's like, okay, it's time for baby to feed now. um I realized as well with breastfeeding that when I tried to express milk, because after about maybe, I think it's about 2 months, I tried to mix and do breast and bottle. And whilst I was expressing, I was getting no milk, no milk, no milk. And I was advised by my friend, try to express whilst you're feeding. And that's when the bottle started to fill up. And I realized the milk comes when baby wants the milk. And it helped me to actually be able to express a bit more, knowing that if baby's not wanting the milk's not really coming out when I'm trying to express it, because I'll be like pumping for ages and like getting like a tiny bit in the bottle. And I thought expressing this is, it was really difficult and made it sore, and I didn't like it. But I realize it's like with your breast, with your body, and your body's connected to your child, your baby, uh, the way your body changes for your baby naturally without you adding no chemicals to you, without you doing anything or reading from a book. That whole breastfeeding journey, everything that happens to your body, even whilst giving birth, all of it so naturally, and that's what your body does without any interference or anybody telling you. It's nature, and that natural feeling, I love that. So breastfeeding for me, for my first baby, was amazing. Scary, but I would say a good scary, because it's kind of like a journey and you're not sure what to do at first, and then after a while you kind of know how to do it, and then you're like a little professional. And also like when you're going out, and the first time you go out and you're breastfeeding, I don't know if any other mums out here are like me, but it took me about 2 hours just to get out of the door, because you're like, okay, let's pack the baby bag, make sure we've got everything. And then just as you're about to leave, baby wants to feed. And you're like, okay, I need to stop and feed baby before I go, because I'm going to be traveling and need to feed baby. But then I don't think that even mattered, because by the time you get out the door, and about 10-15 minutes later baby wants to feed again, and it's just like all flustered. And how do I feed when I'm in public? Where do I go? Like, are people going to look at me? And especially for new mums and first time mums, and not only first time mums, I suppose all mums go through this. Sometimes you do worry a little bit about the stigma and what people might say when you're breastfeeding outside, or where do you go. And there are some people that expect you to go and sit in the toilet stall to feed your baby, which I think is ridiculous. um, but these are all the things you kind of have in your head, especially the first time going out, not sure. And it took me a while to learn different methods, the right tops to wear, like, and the right, I had a like a shawl that I would put over me. And then I found different places that I could go to feed, that I felt comfortable, one of which was just a cafe in my local area at the time. And I would go and sit in, I'd get a cup of tea, and I'd sit in the corner, I'd have the shawl over baby, feed baby, and I'm drinking my cup of tea. And that's what I found works for me a lot when it came to going out. But it can be really stressful. And I can imagine there's a lot of mums out there that actually avoid going out because of breastfeeding in public, and it can make them feel a bit stuck at home. And so if I was speaking to anybody, to a first time mum or anybody that wanted that advice, I would definitely say, don't stop yourself because you're scared, because you won't know how to work with it until you actually get yourself out there. And there's a lot of people that are supporting you and that's on your side with breastfeeding in public, more than the few that are a little bit ignorant maybe, and may look at you funny for feeding your child in a public space. But it's natural. So if you're gonna feed, if your baby needs to feed, you need to feed. If you want to hold a shawl over a baby, or like do it discreetly, there's ways that you can do it, and you can practice. You can always practice at home. Like that's what I did, which made me feel comfortable. Is I thought, okay, what am I gonna do when I'm outside and I want to feed my baby? And so I'm holding baby, and I'm pretending that I'm in the public, and I've got the shawl over me, and I'm like this trying to feed baby. But eventually you work it out. The shawl drops a few times, and I'm wearing the wrong top, and like, this top is too tight, I can't pull the top bit down, I can't pull it up because I'll be showing the whole of my body. But I worked it out in the end, and it does take a while, but it was doable. So like, I'm really, really happy with it. With my second son, I I felt like I was a bit of a professional when it comes to feeding. I knew what to do straight away. So it was a lot easier for me to get straight into breastfeeding, a lot easier than my first son. And I knew how to hold my nipple right, to make baby latch on properly. So, excuse me, I felt like I had no problems when it comes to breastfeeding. However, when he was 6 months old, I had to have a major operation on my liver, which meant that because they were obviously they were going to cut me open, so it was a big operation. I was going to be heavily sedated, and I was going to be on heavy, strong pain medication afterwards. Because of this, I could no longer breastfeed, and like I feel like I've got a lump in my throat now because I felt really guilty for my son. And it was the moment that I found out that I needed to have the operation was only a couple of weeks later that I was having the operation. So I didn't have much time to try to wean baby onto bottle after that. And I did try, but I'm sure there's loads of mums out there that know that weaning baby onto bottle when they're used to breast is not easy at all. And he just wanted breast. And then but I had no choice. I needed this operation. So it's what I had to do. I felt really, really guilty afterwards. Um, I remember one time after I'd come out of the hospital and I was lying in bed, but I was still on strong painkillers. I'm laying in bed and he was in his cot, which is right up against my bed. And I woke up and he was just on my breast, just drinking. I was like, no, no, no. Now, I don't know if he climbed out of the cot. I don't know if I took him out in my sleep, or maybe I did. I don't know. I just know that I woke up and he was just there drinking. I was like, no, baby, no, I'm so sorry. Like, I felt really, really, really guilty because obviously I didn't want to stop breastfeeding, and I knew how much he wanted it, and he would pull and he would scream, and he really wanted it, but there's nothing I could do. I had to give him bottle. He had to get used to formula, and that was something that I did express quite a bit. But whilst I was in hospital, they used a lot of the milk that I had expressed. So I expressed some, I froze some, but we had got through the supply that I had left, and I had family members looking after him. So they had used all the supply that I had expressed. So he had to move on to formula. I wasn't happy, but sometimes in some circumstances, these are the things that we have to do. But one, I could say sometimes it's nice to find something funny out of every situation. And whilst I was in hospital after I had the operation, I'm lying in the bed and I've woken up, and obviously I've still got milk inside my breast. So I've woken up and I'm soaking wet. So I called the nurse. I said, nurse, my milk is just dripping everywhere. It's dripping into my scar. It's just going everywhere. So the two of us together, she went and grabbed some maternity sanitary towels, and she got medical tape and taped it onto my boobs. And I took a picture of it because the way it looked, two sanitary towels taped to my boobs because it was dripping all inside my scar. And that is something I can look back and laugh at because of that journey, because I do feel like it's important, even when something is quite painful, because it was painful to not be able to feed my baby when he's so young. But it's always nice to have something that you can kind of laugh about the situation afterwards. But breastfeeding for me, it's been amazing. It was amazing. And although I'm not planning on having any more children, if I did, I would definitely be breastfeeding because for me, it's the best. One of the best things for me is speaking with my friend that I've grown up with from baby Ruth. Because obviously she became a doula, I got all of my advice from Ruth, and she helped me in so many things, not only through speaking with her, but also through her websites and a lot of things that she's doing. I follow most of the things that she's doing and I get information all the time. And it's helped me so much in understanding the importance of breast milk, the amazing powers of breast milk. It's helped me to understand and to realize like how amazing it is and how important it is for baby. And her help to me, which was like amazing, has helped me to help others. It's helped me to help like other friends and family. Like I've spoken to loads of mums who are first time mums. And although like most of them are black, some of them are not, but although they have family around them, they still really struggled when it come to breastfeeding their baby. And obviously I knew what my experience was when I was a first time mum. So if I can say something to them to help them not feel how I felt when I was first doing it, I just pass on knowledge from what I've learned, from what Ruth has taught me so much. Like I had one friend and I literally pulled my boob out and it demonstrated to her how to get baby to latch onto the boob properly. And she was like, and the worst thing, it was through um a WhatsApp video call because it was during the middle of lockdown, and she was just like, I'm trying, my nipples are chapping, I don't know what to do, I want to give up. And I was like, no, come on. I said, look, video call me, I'm going to show you what to do. Just tell your partner to go next door and I'll show you. And I showed her and she did it the same. And then after the next day, I followed up with her and she said to me, I said, how was it and how are you feeding? She goes, oh, it's coming through now. I'm doing it really well. And I said, and I thought to myself, I'm not a professional. And it's the simplest bit of advice that I gave her. And it took me a matter of a minute or two to give her this advice. And within a couple of days, she was breastfeeding really well and she got on really well from that little bit of advice that I gave her. I had another friend who she was trying so hard to breastfeed, and I really respect the trying and the passion that she really wanted to feed her baby. But she was told at the hospital, because she told the nurses, I'm trying to feed baby, I'm worried that baby's not getting enough milk. And she was told, oh, if you're worried about what baby's getting, just supplement them with formula. So when she told me that, I said, no. I said, no. I said, I spoke to my friend Ruth, who's a doula, and she told me you need to keep trying. And there was something I read on one of her website that baby's stomach is no bigger than a 2 pence coin, I think it was. Something like that I read. So I said to her, with that knowledge in your mind, even if baby's getting a little, don't you think that if baby's satisfied, then baby's not going to cry? So stop worrying about what you're giving baby. Maybe when you're giving a baby all of that formula, maybe you're giving baby too much, because how do you know how much baby wants? Whereas when baby's on the breast and they're drinking, when they're full, they stop. Okay, not all of them, because I know some babies like to keep drinking, but they know when they've had enough milk. So worrying and over worrying and overthinking and over reading things and people that um who are giving advice, and I'm not saying that they're giving incorrect advice, but maybe it's advice that just gets that person off of your case rather than thinking, what is best for you? How can I help you? With that mum, she had gone on to bottle feeding quite quickly. And I know that it wasn't through a lack of trying, but I do wonder if I had spoken to her before she spoke to the midwife at the hospital, if I had given her the help that I gave the other mum before, would she have been able to be successful with breastfeeding? And that is something that I do wonder. And I do feel sad that she wasn't able to continue with it because she stopped completely. And I know how badly she wanted to breastfeed because her nipples were cracked and bleeding. And like that I know that was my biggest fear. So I can imagine how much pain she had to go through to get to that stage where her nipples were cracked and bleeding. But thank you. I've talked on. I hope like you've all been interested in what I've had to say, and I'm welcoming any questions from anybody if you like.
Thank you so much, Suzette. Thank you for sharing so colourfully, so beautifully, and with such feeling. Like, you brought so much back. If you have a chance now to look in the chat, you'll see lots of people are giving their thanks and appreciation. Esda, I hope I'm saying your name right, said, beautifully put. I love how you slowed it down for us all. It really brings memories flooding back. And Yvonne has said she'd love to share her experience too. So you're inspiring others to share. Yeah, we'll have a chance in the group discussions, Yvonne, to do that. Yeah, so there's some peer support is being bigged up. So important, and so thankful for you, Suzette, bringing the actual truth to your friend. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing such valuable work in the community, really creating that village that we need to be supporting one another, be a positive voice for what's possible for people, and giving that accurate information of things that you know that work. So yeah, everyone's just giving thanks. Check the chat.
I'm gonna check it now. I will.
Yeah, we're really thankful. If anybody has got, we've got a couple of minutes, maybe time for one question. If anyone wants to ask a question for Suzette, she's welcomed them to be ready for answer. I think everyone's just giving their thanks. Giving their thanks away. So yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it's so beautiful, Suzette. You inspire me. Yeah. No, you have, definitely. Yeah, we hope that conversations can continue within Mighty Networks. We've got lots of different topic areas. So if you do happen to, you're thinking on what Suzette said, you know, message, and we can keep the conversation going. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you everybody, and thank you for like the good words, kind words. It makes me feel good as well, like having so much feedback from everybody, such positive feedback. So thank you.
Yeah, I think Ruth has just asked a question, or Breaking Breastfeeding has said, how were you supported by healthcare practitioners? And I know you spoke on the support that you received from a doula. Was there any support that was given by other healthcare practitioners?
Very minimal. With my first son, one lady tried to show me a little bit. I think she spent a couple minutes with me telling me how to breastfeed, but it was, I know they don't really have much time in hospital. And I understand that the lack of staffing makes it difficult to actually give each person that time. But it was my first baby, and I was in hospital for a few days, and I really could have done with someone just giving me that talk of how to get baby to latch on. So I did get help, but it was very minimal, the help, maybe a couple of minutes by a midwife in the hospital, and I didn't know what I was doing, which is why later on I didn't know what to do until I got further help.
Thank you. It's unfortunately all too familiar that not having that time and that space, which is why we reach out and connect, and why peer support and having doulas and other practitioners around is so helpful. Thank you for sharing that, Suzette.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
I have to just say, you've got a whole fan club going on in the chat here now who are like trying to recruit you here or sign you up to be official breastfeeding supporter. So do check.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it.